Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor B. West, where here we talk about real estate investing, specifically apartment, multifamily, commercial real estate, because that's what we're all about. That's what I'm all about. That is how I earn my income, earn my living. And also we talk about faith here on the channel. Probably the most important, well, definitely the most important thing in my life is my faith in my business, my relationship with my wife, my family, all my friends. Everything flows from my relationship with Jesus. So today I'm just going to unveil how I got started in real estate investing. So quick snapshot. I started investing in real estate 7 years ago, and now I am at 72 units of multifamily real estate spread across 19 units, somewhere around $4 to $5 million worth of value. Now, this is what I do full time. It is my main source of income, and it has been an absolute journey, adventure, pleasure, testing of my faith, lots of ups and downs, and I'm here for every single moment of it. So I've been posting a lot on Instagram and on TikTok, talking about where we're at, how we renovate, how we do some of the acquisitions. So I figured let's just go and talk about how I got started and start to hopefully drop some nuggets that will help you along the way if you're just getting started, or if you have some properties under your belt and you're looking to take it to the next level. I think that this video will be helpful for you. So I was in the United States Air Force for nearly a decade. I had an absolute blast. I was an intelligence analyst, and we did all types of wild stuff. I had the pleasure of working with some incredible warriors, traveling the world. I met my wife in Germany, and we got to basically hunt terrorist organizations. I would pull out key individuals from either Taliban, ISIS, Al Qaeda, the alphabet soup of terrorist organizations that were running around in Africa. Got to do some really cool stuff, and I loved it. But I could see that some of the things that I enjoyed about the job were starting to go away. We were shifting mission sets and focuses, and we were going to do some stuff that I am not a nerd by trade. I enjoyed what I was doing, and I could go through and I could sift through the data, and I could do all the analysis to find key individuals from those organizations, because there was an end goal of we were going to go conduct an operation, bring this person to justice, whether it be a kill capture operation, and then we could do it again and do it again. And that was really fun. And not being able to do that, and granted, I look back on a lot of my military stuff now, and I think about why we were doing some of those things, why we were in different countries, and there's just all this political bureaucratic jargon and whatnot that I just don't subscribe to anymore. Nonetheless, it built out a number of skill sets that then propelled me to do what I'm doing now in real estate. So two things that I want to point out. Building out target sets for individuals is very, very similar to building out a target set or building out a portfolio of a property. Like, I want to analyze a property. I need to know all the things. So for the terrorist organizations, the key individuals, I needed to know who they were, where they slept, where they woke up, who their friends are, where they go on Thursday nights, what types of locales do they frequent, what types of weapons do they use? Is the village that they're living in friendly to U.S. forces? Is it friendly to the Taliban? Do they operate in a place that's close to ISIS? If it's Taliban and ISIS in the same area, they hated each other. They would always be fighting and killing each other. Or I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, so I'm actually going to blurb it out. But I needed to know all these things and then communicate it to my commander, so that once we got enough derogatory information on one individual, we could then go and conduct an operation. So I needed to sell my commander on that information. The same thing with a building. If I find a property that I want to invest in, I need to know all the numbers about the property, where it's located at, what's going on inside of it, what are the utilities like, the maintenance and expenses. I need to know what type of demographic am I going to be renting out to? What is my rental pool going to look like? And how much can I rent these out for? How much can it make? How can I add value? And then I need to sell that to my investors. I need to be able to take that information, bring it to investors, and offer in such a way that they're like, okay, I want to invest in that. And there's a whole different side of that because people invest in the person, not so much the property. The property matters, but it's, do they know you? Do they like you? And do they trust you? That is how you build a strong investor base. So from my military experience, and I say that, so for you that's watching, if you are operating at a high level in your career, that is something that is easily transferable to the world of real estate. You can take the skills, talents, and abilities that you've crafted over years and then simply just switch focus. And it's not so simple as, well, I'm just done doing this one thing, I'm going to do this now. No, you start building up real estate over time so that way you can create options and then say, oh, I don't want to do this job anymore, or I want to switch careers, I want to pursue something that I'm passionate about, what have you. Real estate creates options. So the second thing that I gained from my time in the military was my speaking ability. I think I always had a little bit, but I had never done it in a way that it was actually crafted until I joined the military right after high school. So a big part of my job is I had, like I was saying, I have to sell this opportunity, this target, if you will, to my commander. The only way that he's going to know, he or she's going to know that information is if I tell them the information. So we would be briefing constantly when we went through training. We would build presentations on weapon systems, on terrorist groups, on planes, on all these different things, and have to brief it to our classroom, brief it to our commanders. And then when we got to our first base, that was literally just like constantly updating. So we got rep after rep after rep, briefing or communicating, presenting. And that built out a really, really special skill. And I will say this, communication is the number one. I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I'm going to say communication, the ability to communicate an idea well, is the number one skill that you should develop as a person. We are constantly selling something, and you can't sell something without communicating an idea. You might think, oh, well, I'm not ever going to have to sell anything. If you're married and you have to, you want to go to a restaurant, you want to sell your spouse on going to this, oh, it's got all these cute little things. And I checked out the pictures and I checked out the menu and I checked out the prices. And I know this because my wife, dude, she loves going out to eat. She loves to look at the menu ahead of time. She loves to do all the research and put all these things together. And by the time she brings it to me, she's so excited. I'm like, boom, I'm in. Whatever you have found, I want to be a part of it. And we are constantly selling. So being able to communicate. So learning the art of storytelling, learning how to articulate and communicate in a way that's clear and concise. And again, that skill that I got from the Air Force, I then transferred to the world of real estate, right? I am now communicating at a broader scale. I'm communicating to you right now on my Instagram and my TikTok. I'm communicating to my audience. And another thing that I do kind of on the side is I go to real estate events all over the nation and I open up for real estate conferences, business conferences, personal development, what have you, those types of things. I get on stage, I introduce all the speakers, I build an introduction, I kind of keep the operation of the event moving smoothly and seamlessly. And that skill, I don't think that I would have had I not got rep after rep after rep. So wherever you're at in your life, whether it be career-wise, of course, we always want to be excelling. There's a verse in Proverbs, I think it's Proverbs 25:28, where it says, do you see a man who's skilled in his work? He will serve before kings and not among common men. And if you're thinking about jumping into real estate and you're not already excellent at whatever it is that you're doing, I would encourage you to step in and step out and start working on being outstanding in your field, being outstanding at your workplace, and then transferring those skills that you get and jump into real estate off of a win, off of momentum, right? So, and that's basically what I did. So I was at an Air Force unit that we were probably, not probably, we were definitely the most elite Air Force unit on the planet. Like, it did not get any better than the things that we were doing. So I used that momentum. What it taught me was that I can do more than I thought that I could. I'm capable of more. And you are certainly, if I'm capable of more, I promise you, you are capable of more. And I use that momentum to then shift me into the world of real estate. So I won't go through the whole story, but being a young guy in the military, I was excelling at my job. But on the personal side of things, I mean, we lived the military lifestyle. As a young man, I was drinking a lot and partying and living a frivolous lifestyle, and I was spending all of my money. I had no financial literacy whatsoever. I didn't even know it. I was $20,000 in credit card debt because I couldn't say no. Constantly swiping the credit card. I had a car I had no business driving. And then me and my friends joined the rugby team. Long story short, I snapped my leg. The craziest thing, I snapped my leg playing rugby, and it changed my life forever. And here's the kicker. As soon as I got out of surgery, because my foot was just hanging, it was disgusting. As soon as I got out of surgery, all of my roommates were gone. I lived with three of my best friends. They were either on really long trips or they were on a deployment. They were gone. It was just me, my Percocets, my wheelchair, and my Netflix account. I burned through Netflix. And one day I woke up and there was like some YouTube channel on my TV, and it was Ty Lopez, and he was talking about building a business and all this stuff. I was like, dude, I didn't even know that this world existed. I don't know if I want to stay in the military. I don't know what I want to do. Do I want to get out? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to go work as a contractor? I had no clue, and it scared the crap out of me. So because of that, because that happened, I got scared and I took action. I have a bias towards action. So I went and bought a bunch of books. I'm not going to bore you with the story, but two things that I did is I thought I wanted to take, or I took action. I wanted to do something, and I wanted to do what successful people around me were doing, and they were getting their college degree. So it's like, boom, bright idea. I'm going to go get my college degree. Started taking a math course, get to the final exam, hated every second of it. They were going to proctor it, and I was cheating the whole time, so I quit. And then I bought a bunch of books on financial literacy because I believe that if I could get my money situation right, there's nowhere that I could go that I wouldn't be successful. Think and Grow Rich, Simple Path to Wealth, Richest Man in Babylon, ding, 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 ding. And of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you haven't gotten the picture by now about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, go read the book. Let it change your life. Be open-minded. Allow it to shift you in special and magnificent ways. And that's exactly what the book did for me. Never read a book cover to cover. Crushed Richest Man in Babylon. I mean, I have notes upon notes upon notes. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Read it in 2 days. Notes upon notes upon notes. I was obsessed. And I realized, oh, I can invest in real estate. Something I can create with my own two hands. I don't need a degree. I don't need permission. I don't need to wait. I can get started today. And that's exactly what I did. Because I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because I had a bias towards action, I started reading books on real estate, podcasts, YouTube videos. I consumed as much information as I possibly could in the world of real estate. I took an online course from my community college. I mean, I was committed, and I did not want to get stuck in analysis paralysis. For those of you that don't know, analysis paralysis is when you're looking at deals and looking at deals and learning all the information and going to events and seminars and masterminds and this and that and doing nothing. Coming up, goose egg. I remember the first ever real estate meetup I went to, Jay Conner, Conner, and he talked just like that. And he was an interesting kind of guy. I think he has some really valuable information, but I went to his event. It was a complete sales pitch. But I spoke with this couple and they told me that they have been wanting to invest in real estate for 8 years. They've spent tens of thousands of dollars going to events and buying courses and this and that, and didn't own a single piece of real estate except for the house that they owned. I did not want to be that burnt. It seared an image into my brain. I was like, no, I'm going to be action prone. So from that information, I was in the military, so I had access to the VA loan. The VA loan is a 0% down government loan product where you can go buy up to 4 units. So any veterans that are watching, absolutely be taking advantage of this. Do not take your VA loan and then go buy a primary residence that is just 1 unit. You're wasting such a valuable resource of $0 down to get into a cash flowing real estate asset. So after I learned everything that I learned, wholesaling, flipping, bank-owned properties, foreclosures, multifamily, I learned, and based on the resources that I had available to me, VA loan was the move for me on multifamily real estate. I became a multifamily real estate investor. So I went out and I was looking at deals. I was running the numbers, hundreds and hundreds of deals. Every day I would get home and I would run the numbers on real estate properties so I could tell the difference between a good deal and a bad deal. I found a triplex online, been sitting on market for over 500 days, made an offer, got accepted. Bank came in and said, nope, it only appraised for, he wanted $225,000. It appraised for $188,000. He brought his price down and I got into this property and it cash flowed from day one, making over $900 per month. Fantastic. Not everybody's first deal is going to look like that, but it changed me in a way that made me realize, oh my gosh, I have the ability to do more. In preceding this, just want to back up really quick. I had changed my whole lifestyle. I stopped drinking. I stopped going out. I stopped spending money. I stopped everything. I got my budget so tight I could live off of $1,239.36, and I could eat 1 5-pound bag of rice and 1 5-pound bag of lentils for 2 weeks. And that cost me about $22. I really got it down. I changed everything. I sold my car. I had a 2019 Toyota 4Runner. I sold it for a 2004 Mazda 3. I changed everything. I went extreme. And here's the phrase: I'd rather go overboard than get thrown overboard. I wanted to expedite the process of me becoming financially free so much faster than the average person, because I wanted to shift my position in life. I wanted to exit the military, and my goal was to have enough rental income to equate to what I was making in the military. And so after I bought the triplex, I surrounded myself with real estate investors. I went to meetups. I went to seminars. I went to everything that I could get my hands on. And being in this environment, I was around deal makers. I was around people who had deals, below market value deals, wholesalers. Became friends with them. I did life with them. I really enjoyed just being around these hustlers because it was a whole new side of life for me. And another multifamily property came available from a wholesaler. I did everything that I could to close on it. It was a terrible battle of trying to figure out how I'm going to close on this deal. And then this is where I found the most beautiful thing in real estate investing to me, which is hard money, which is other people's money that they sell to you at a very expensive rate, but it's a drop in the bucket. And if you can find a below market value property that will appraise for, of course, the BRRRR method: buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. If you can buy it low enough, fix it up, rent it out, refinance it, and then get all your capital back. And this is exactly what happened on my second deal. I bought a 2-unit building, and I put about $11,000 into it. It really didn't need a whole lot. Refinanced out, got all my money back out, and then I just had a cash flowing asset. Now, I used every penny that I had left in the bank to get this deal. I used every single penny. I had less than $500 back in my bank account after I'd climbed my way out of debt, got a little bit of savings, and thank God nothing went wrong, because I'm not sure what I would have done. But at this point, obviously I have no money, but I know how to find deals. And it was telling everybody that I was a real estate investor, because I was now. And so my boy called me up. He was on a deployment in Africa. He said, "Yo, I heard you're getting into real estate investing." I said, "How'd you heard that all the way out there in Ouagadougou?" And so he's like, "Dude, I'm getting into real estate. We partnered up." His idea was, well, I don't have any access to deals, but Trevor does. And I thought, well, I don't have any access to money, but he does. So we partnered together. We bought 8 units, and this 8 units meaning 3 different buildings. The first one we bought was a duplex, a great opportunity. Then we bought a 4-unit, and then we bought another duplex. And then we decided we were going to take the jump and try to start buying bigger apartment buildings, which was a mistake. And here's the reason it was a mistake. I wasn't ready as a business owner to make that leap into such deep waters. Some people can do that. Some people can go jump into the deep end, and it's just totally cool. I got to take steps, baby steps here, 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 and build out the capacity to handle more. I think that people get this idea in their head that they just have to have more, and they have to have it now. They can go so big, and I think that holds people back. At least it did for me, because what I realized was I didn't have the skill set, I didn't have the knowledge, and it was like starting something brand new. I went and I spent thousands of dollars on whether it be courses or masterminds, and I'm actually still in the mastermind that I joined. But it took me 3 years to buy my first commercial multifamily property. And it was because I did not have the maturity, I did not have the knowledge or the skill set to be able to sustain in a world that demanded so much. I was still just learning the game, and I needed to continue learning before I went and stepped out for some bigger opportunities. And I needed to build out my own financial foundation, my own business fundamentals foundation. So that would be my encouragement to you. And how this kind of affected me, why I didn't buy anything for 3 years, is because I wasn't focused on enough on one thing. I would go to a mastermind event, somebody would talk about short-term rentals and how they're making millions of dollars doing short-term. So I'd leave the mastermind all fired up about short-term rentals. I'd try it. Oh, this is just as hard as anything else, if not even harder. I'm going to quit. Because after, 6 weeks of trying this and I don't have my first whatever, I would go to the next mastermind event, whether it be trailer parks. Somebody talks about trailer parks. Somebody talks about midterm rentals. Somebody talks about this. And I would get shiny object syndrome and bounce around from thing to thing. And it did not serve me at all. I burnt myself out, and I was so frustrated because I was constantly looking to get deals, but I wasn't getting any deals because I wasn't focused. And here's the most important part. Here's the most important part about all this. I was placing my identity in real estate. I was placing my identity in who I was. Like, if I wasn't buying deals, I wasn't anybody. If I wasn't buying real estate, I wasn't the person that I should be. And that's not how we're supposed to get wrapped up in these things. We're supposed to enjoy the process and of course, for me as a Jesus follower, my identity is in Christ. My identity is in the one who created me, the one who knew me before I was knitted in my mother's womb. And he was in my hindsight putting the blocks on all this so that I would be able to get rid of the clutter and see him more clearly. And I remember I was sitting at this desk, and I was living somewhere else, but I was sitting at this desk and I just realized, oh my goodness gracious. It's not about the real estate. It's about my relationship with him. It's about allowing him to lead me and knowing that there's no amount of striving, there's no amount of real estate that I can buy, there's no amount of deals that I can do, no amount of capital that I can raise that will be able to get me into heaven or make me anything, really. Those things will make me successful in a worldly perspective, and I think that those things are good, and we should work towards greatness. But what are we working towards greatness for? Are we doing it so we can feel good about ourselves, so we can make ourselves, prop ourselves up, pat ourselves on the back, buy a bunch of stuff that we don't need to impress people that we don't like or that really don't even know that we exist? Or am I doing these things from an outpouring and an overflow of my relationship with God, and from those things I can pour back into his kingdom? That's the big thing for me. And whether you're a Christian or not, um, I think that it's important to realize that we are more than the things that we do. But especially if you're not a Christian, I want you to know that Jesus is real, and he wants to have a relationship with you. He loves you more than your mom. He loves you more than anything we could ever possibly imagine. And he wants to get a hold of you, and he wants to do life with you. And if you've been hurt by Christians in the past, whether the church hurt you or people hurt you, don't let people turn you from the steeple. People are inherently bad. I need Jesus just as much as the next person. And people will take things and, whether well-meaning or inherently evil, twist things in order to hurt people or unintentionally hurt people. And there's just a lot of hurt out there. But I'm here to tell you that Jesus does not represent those things. Those people need Jesus just as much as I do, just as much as you do. And he wants to have a relationship with you. All that to say, I submitted my identity to Jesus because I was so fed up with not being able to find real estate deals and progress in my career. And quite literally a week after that, 2 multifamily properties, basically that were great deals, fell into my lap. I put them both under contract. I think on average, both of those buildings, they were 2 6-unit buildings, averaged to be $22,000 per unit. I mean, just crazy, crazy deals. Closed on them on the same day. One of them was already rented. Another one was completely empty and needed to be renovated. So we renovated that beast. It took us 6 months. Here's the biggest lesson that I learned from this thing. 1, never pay by the hour. I hired a crew. It originally started out with 1 guy who then brought on 2 guys. And then I showed up to the job site one day and there was 5 or 6 guys there, and I'm paying them all by the hour. It was madness. I probably paid twice the amount for that deal in labor than I should have. It still worked out really, really well, but I learned so much through those 6 months. And I bought the first one conventionally, but the seller ended up bringing back some money. It's called a seller carryback. Basically, I couldn't buy the property for less than $125,000 because the bank that was the lowest loan amount that they could do. But anyway, I bought the property for more. The seller carried back, wrote me a check at closing, and I used that basically as my down payment. The deal that was completely empty, that I used hard money for the acquisition, and then I raised $72,000 for the renovation costs. And that was from a private investor, a guy that's in my mastermind, a guy I've known for years. He knows me, he likes me, he trusts me. He said, hey man, I completely trust you. This is how we're going to do this. Or I laid out how we were going to do it. And he signed the paperwork and he sent over the money and we got started right away. Now, I could have raised the money from my hard money lender, but I didn't want to do that because you can't buy materials in bulk when you have to do draw requests. So anytime you work with a hard money lender, you fund the first leg of your renovation. So if it's a 6-unit building, if I would have to go renovate 1 or 2 units and then go to my hard money lender and say, hey, I'm ready for the draw request to get paid back for the amount that I spent renovating those units. Now, when I raise money from a private lender, that money goes to my business bank account and I have access to use those funds, steward those funds appropriately to go buy materials, pay contractors, and do those things to get started. And when you have all that, you can buy flooring in bulk, you can buy materials, vanities, all kinds of things. You can just go out and source your materials and get it for a much lower price, which is, of course, the end goal when we're doing big renovations, because I'll tell you, they always end up costing more than you think, and they always take longer than you think. Now, I learned a massive amount from that 6-unit, and I'm going to do in a different video, I'm going to do a full breakdown of that entire property. But that property came, a wholesaler sent it to my agent, and my agent told me about it, so I used her to close on the loan, even though I think I offered to pay her because she had brought me the deal, even though I didn't have to. And that's just what you do when you keep good relationships. So now that we're talking about agents and wholesalers and those types of things, having good relationships with people is invaluable in this world and in the world of business, and specifically in the world of real estate. By having relationships with good agents and being upfront with them, I let them know, hey, I work with multiple agents. I have multiple people that are bringing me deals, so I'm not exclusively with you. This is not me looking to buy a primary residence that I'm going to live in for the next 10, 20, 30 years. No, this is me building a financial and generational foundation that will, we're going to constantly be buying property. So my realtors know, hey, we're not exclusive with anything. Now, if we go under contract for something, I'll go exclusive with them. And also these people are, my one realtor who brought me a 17-unit portfolio, him and I are going to go grab a cigar in 2 weeks at the local cigar shop. We're going to hang out. We're going to do life together. The agent that brought me 28 units and the 6-unit that I've been talking about, I've known her for years. It was crazy. We both joined the same mastermind, and I found out that she was a commercial agent. She found out I was investing in apartment buildings. Boom. She's brought me 35 doors or something, 34 doors at this point. And it's just truly invaluable when you are with people and they like you and you like them. Truly is a beautiful thing. And so those 2 6-unit properties really developed me as a real estate investor and solidified. Now that I'm stepping off with sure footing because my identity is in Christ and not in what I can do in the marketplace, I was now freed up to do some really cool things with that experience under my belt. So after the 6 units, my realtor, who I was just telling you about, saw that a 6-unit building had been cut in price. They did a price reduction. And so we reached out to the seller. The seller was selling multiple buildings. So I said, hey, I don't want to buy some of these, but I do want to buy these ones. What if I buy them all and we bring that price down to and we negotiated down. They think they're a 1.25. We went under contract at $1,040,000, and when it was all said and done, we closed on the property for $940,000, which is basically $34,000 per door. When you buy all the properties in one transaction, you have that leverage to get some discounts on the property. And of course, we found lots of things that were going to be very, very expensive to fix. And I think we should have even stuck to our guns because I wanted to be somewhere around 900,000. But that's okay. We closed on the properties. We've been renovating them for the last 6 months now, and it's been a whole journey. And I've applied the things I learned from that 6-unit renovation to these ones, and we've renovated in the same amount of time almost to renovate 6 units. I've renovated 27 units, and we only have one more left to go. And I raised $350,000. I think that we're only going to need around $300,000, so we should have around $50,000 left over, which is a huge, huge, huge blessing. Totally mind blown. This has been such a test of my faith, and how we've been paying bills is honestly, it's just been such a wild ride. And then after the 28 units, just a month later, my realtor who I'm having cigars with brought me a 17-unit portfolio because he knew exactly what I was looking for. And it was right next to a property that I had already purchased, that 6-unit building. And it was on the same road. And he said, hey, I know that you have a building on this road. This just went up for sale, reached out to the seller. They had 2 more buildings that they wanted to sell, so we bought them all. Again, leverage because they wanted to sell all 3. Instead of going through 3 different transactions, most sellers, they just want to get the money and move on. So that's exactly what we did. We offered on all 3 of them. We got the price down, and we've been renovating those ones. It's coming along a little slower. I think we still have 9 units left to renovate on those ones, and we'll be looking to refinance both of those portfolios here in the next 30 to 90 days. And so that's just, again, a little bit about what we have going on, give you a snapshot of who I am as an investor, how I operate. Of course, I'm operating from a place through my faith. I mean, that is just honestly, in my opinion, that is the best way to do things. It's the most important thing in my life. But real estate has absolutely transformed our life. Once we do these refinances, if we didn't want to buy a single piece of real estate again, we would be good. Like financially, we would be good. We could go and do whatever it is, not whatever, probably not whatever, but we can do a lot. We can do a lot of stuff. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to encourage you to get started, to encourage you to think bigger. Maybe not so big like I did where it held me back. If you think that you're the type of person that can handle that, you have that temperament, by all means. But I want you to think with the lid off. I want you to think big on what it is that you're capable of, because I assure you, you are capable of more than you give yourself credit for. I love how Tony Robbins says it. He says, most people will overestimate what they can get done in a year, but wildly underestimate what they can do in 10. I want you to think with the lid off. I want you to think big and really start stepping into greatness because it's in you. If it's in me and it was laying in there dormant and it was alive, I just didn't know it was there, it's in you for sure. And I want you to allow God, like my encouragement to you is to allow God to show you the path and show you the way, because through him, I don't serve the God of not enough. I don't serve the God of just enough. I serve the God of more than enough, pressed down, shaken together, running over. This has been your boy, Trevor B. West. I just gave you a quick snapshot of my real estate investing journey. I'm going to be going into way more detail on some of these portfolios and the specific properties and doing breakdowns. So continue to follow along the journey. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. And of course, like, comment, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Make it a great day.